Welcome to the Thoughtful Podcast. And today I have Renu Hooda, who is the people leader in the data and tech industry. And we're gonna discuss the how can we navigate this storm in current economic downturn situation and how we can still thrive in that. So
Yeah, thank you, Dimitri. Thanks for having me on the podcast. Super excited to be here. As you can see, it's a cloudy, crappy day in New York, so I'm glad getting to spend some time with you and talk about the important challenges that our people are facing.
nice. Yeah, that's like in the economic and the weather outside is definitely not the best as we can have, but still, I believe we still should strive for something better and hope that the situation will improve and still do something on our places that we can at least. And
Yeah,
could you please tell us about your career journey and how it shaped your mission to create thriving cultures in organization?
yeah. I was at IPG for over 16 years, almost 17 years. And to me, I think it's not even the career journey, it's the values that your family instills in you and as you grow up. So to me, I've always had this passion and desire to help people. If there's a problem, I can think through with them and help them solve. I'm going to be right there. It doesn't matter. It doesn't even have to be an HR related problem. If you come to me, it's like, hey, here's what I'm dealing with. Can you help me through it? Um, I try to come up with a list of pros, cons, and let's walk through implications of picking one option or the other. So it's my desire to always been helpful. As I was after I had graduated college, I was fortunate enough to work with a leader that saw my potential more than I saw my own potential. So somebody who pushed my boundaries and be able to say, "No, you're able to do this." I remember one of the first meetings, it was like, hey, can you go present this to the CEO? And I was like, I no, I just graduated college like 2 years ago. I shouldn't be doing anything in front of the CEO. And he was like, no, I think you know this. It was just one pager. And it was like, you know the content on this, you should be able to do this. And I was like, well, if they ask this and this and this questions, he was like, yes, and you know the answers to those questions. And I was like, but I feel very nervous. And he's like, treat him as just another human being. Don't think of him as a CEO. Think of him as another human being. So I had this leader who constantly pushed my boundaries and got me out of my comfort zone. So to me, that is when you really end up growing and thriving. And so that sort of was that moment is when somebody had that really impact on me, believing in me without hesitation. I want to bring that to every single employee in corporate America. Imagine working for a leader that believes in you more than you do. The chances are that you're going to be constantly trying to just work beyond, like you're competing against yourself because you want to be better and deliver better for your leader, but you're being
Right.
better in that scenario. So I that's the world I want to create, and that sort of that example is what has led me to believe in people and trust in people, and I know we can all do better and be better.
Wow, that's an awesome story. Like, I like that approach a lot, and I already heard somebody told me similar about similar kind of manager that he had, especially in the beginning of your career, that helped the people to realize their strength. Because sometimes we don't even see some of our advancements and how we can be useful to people until someone will tell us or will push us or will challenge us to do something for other people that will bring value ultimately. And that example that you just described is very insightful and inspiring for everybody. And for me as a leader, I'm trying to do the same very often with my
Yeah,
team, with all the people I work with. If I will see the head, someone is hesitant to do something or reluctant or whatever, I will definitely try to empower and like reemphasize that that might be very important. That you definitely can bring value, whatever your opinion is, and you should then just don't worry, just go and do, and
yeah.
don't
No,
think about the fears or some limitations.
I think it's important for that's why I think the mid level of our managers are absolutely critical because they're the ones that are when the end. I think it's the when you're just out of college, like the first 5 years really shape who you are because then it just the confidence if like you have a manager that believes in you and brings out the best in you, you're going to continue to deliver the best for yourself, your manager. You harness this loyalty with people as well, and I think the organizations are missing that right now because it's become very much people names on a spreadsheet versus human beings that are making an impact to your business, delivering value to your business, which ultimately delivering value to your clients. And we need to really help people see through that.
Exactly, especially when it comes to results, KPIs, or some just revenue statistic. It just doesn't tell us about the people and about the relationship, about the aspirations and how people feel, which is most important. Because if the people wouldn't feel good and great, they wouldn't be able to produce the good results either. And moving on, you also have experience in leading organizations through complex changes, such as merging and acquisitions. And how do this experience could be applied to the individual who is navigating their careers? Maybe there are some lessons.
Yeah, if you're at an organization that's going through a merger or acquisition or some sort of change that's happening in the organization, my like advice to everybody is figure out like be adaptable. Things are going to change, so they're not going to be the way they were because the whole point of this event taking place is bringing out change. So be adaptable, understand what the change is, and don't be afraid to ask questions to get you more clarity. And if the leaders are not providing you the clarity, I think you got to hold them accountable. I mean, right now you have emails, I'm sure there's internal social channels. If that one leader doesn't have it, you could figure out what the answers are. Why is this change happening? What does it mean for myself, my team, the organization, and where we're headed? So don't ask about just today. Is this change leading up to another? Is this a something we're going to be living in for 6 months, or is it 2 years? So I think it's communication, having the adaptability, figuring out, be resilient. Things are going to adapt, change. So just you gotta be resilient. You gotta learn to go with the flow a little bit, but just make sure that if you are a individual that's managing people, you're keeping them informed. Because it's equally, I think that's why the middle managers are so key. Not only they have to get the leaders above them to give them the information, but they got to take that information and then pass it down to the all of the levels of the organization. And you got to think through obviously your who is the most influential person making those decisions. Let's get in front of them, have them do like a small team meeting, invite them to your team meeting, get them to answer those questions. So you become more of a broker of the communication within the organization. So that gives you a better understanding of what the changes, why the changes, what does it mean for me, is my role going to change, how does that going to impact my role. So asking those questions is going to be probably is going to get you more clarity. But assuming is never a good thing. Don't assume if they're doing this, that's because of these things are going to happen, because you can go down a deep dark path and it's just not good for your mental state be there. So stick to facts.
Not at all. Assuming not at all in every area of your life, even your family, your relationship. If you
Yeah.
assume something, just don't do that. Just go ask and clarify whatever questions you have. And I like that advice a lot because very often people tend to uh, overthink the situation and produce or project some of their fears or some of their uh, I
On
don't know,
insecurities.
insecurities, yes, on the situation, but indeed it could not be a case at all. It could be something very different from what we tend to think and how we tend to see the situation at the glance.
Yeah, to
And
always make sure that you're asking yourself, what if I am assuming, like, what are the assumptions I am putting into this thought process? If 80% of things that are in your head are all based on assumptions, the chances are it's time to check them. because it's not as
Exactly.
bad as you think it is going to be.
Right. It is always good to go out, talk to
Yeah,
people, ask them, and express your opinion, maybe your
yeah,
fears as well. That will allow people to give you kind of feedback, and maybe will give you some facts or information that would ultimately calm you down, and you will see other opportunities, let's say, or some other ways of doing stuff. And
exactly. Yeah,
and if we are talking about opportunities and some of the strength that individual can have, sometimes it's very difficult for us to understand what are we good at and what kind of value we can bring to the table. And do you have any advice or suggestion how we can identify those things that we can bring forward and those maybe characteristics of our character or our expertise could help other people.
yeah. I mean, one thing that I've always found helpful in that is asking for feedback. Every time I worked with my own direct reports or anybody on my team, if I worked on a project with them leading through it, I always end is like, okay, here's great work we did. And then I'll ask individually, hey, how do you think I could have done better? Well, how can I help you? So I think once you put yourself in that position, people, because I think human nature is naturally we want to help people. I think that's 95% of the people naturally just want to help people. So if I came to you and said, hey, Dimitri, what could I do better? How do you think I'm coming off as in that meeting, in that room, in that? I think the chances are you're going to be like, because you want to help me and it's coming from the right place, you're going to give me one or two things that I could improve upon. That's going to make me a better leader. So to me, I think asking for feedback is always good because other people may not feel so willing to give feedback if you're not ready to receive it. So this way you're saying I am ready to whatever it is because I want to constantly get better. So and that brings self-awareness to you a lot. So I think that helps quite a bit. I think working and creating a network of people that can be your sponsors and speak on your behalf throughout the organization is also extremely helpful. I've been fortunate enough to be where I had leaders that were either higher than me or my peers or even like my direct reports that championed for me when I was not in the room. So finding those people, because now you've shown your value. What you say is where you're going to show up. Your actions are speaking louder than what you're saying. So I think once you start delivering for people, people tend to back you up and sort of have your back when you're not in the rooms. So creating that personal brand, what you stand for, people know that and they know they. So I think those two things, if you could do really well, that could help you really strengthen who you are, how you approach and get comfortable with what that is. Because you meet people that are, let's say, could be insecure about whatever it is. But if they get feedback and just small incremental improvements, they're going to continue to feel good about it because they're working towards a goal and they're making those changes. So slowly and steadily, that insecurity is going to just fade away.
Yeah, I like the idea of asking the feedback, and it is definitely something I do as well with
Yeah.
my colleagues and with my peers and everybody else. Uh, but just wanted to add here that when you ask for feedback, just be ready to accept it.
Yeah.
Be ready, because first time I started to, like in the beginning when I started to I use more of that and asking the feedback from my colleagues. It was many years ago, and first time I've heard the critical feedback, even though it was my aspiration to hear that, I started to deny it and like being defensive and saying, "Oh, no, 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 wait, don't tell me that. Like I meant something differently." Instead of just being quiet and being an active listener and just trying to understand what the other person is trying to say me.
Yeah.
So when you ask for feedback, just really mean it. Really mean that you're ready to accept it and you're ready
Yeah.
to
No, 100,
deal with that.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, that was an interesting situation from my experience, and I still remember that very vividly. And every time I go and try to ask someone feedback, I still recall that situation and remind myself, oh, now listen to whatever it is, and be ready
Yeah.
to accept, and then maybe think later.
I think we all have been there where we become all of a sudden it's like, well, no, I'm not, I didn't, that's not how I want it to come off. And you become go on the defensive. So I think what you have is right. It's just actively listen and understand their perspective, where they're coming from to help you at the end of the day. You have to be ready to take it. And some days, like you hear it and you're like, okay, I see where they might have picked that up. But you know what? That's who I am. So I'm not going to change that. But thank you for your feedback. And you just move on. That's okay to say that too. You don't just because somebody's telling you, because I mean, I've always been told that you need to be more patient. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to try. And I try being more patient. I think I made maybe 5% difference in last 10 years in my patience. But it just, I realize I'm an action oriented person. Patience doesn't come easily to me. So when the next person comes around, be more patient. I was like, thank you for letting me know that. But here's the timelines we're sticking to. And no, we're not going to be patient with changing those timelines money times over. So it's okay. Sometimes you take feedback and say, thank you for sharing, but I'm not going to change it. My patience levels are not going to increase today.
Right, right. Yeah, but it's not about like suppressing yourself or changing something in your character, because it is who you are. It's how
Yeah.
you express yourself and how you show up, and like your energy. If you have a lot of energy, you just cannot contain it. You just need to
Yeah,
keep
exactly.
moving and do something. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I see it very clearly in some people
Yeah,
when
I
they
mean,
just.
and I think in today's world, it's also important that we constantly upskill ourselves as well. Because as I know, like the more higher up you go in your career, you become more delegated. You're delegating a lot of work, so you're not getting that hands-on experience on a lot of new technologies that are coming in. So that's something that I am very mindful and be cautious about. Okay, what are the new HR technologies coming into play? Let me play around with it, so make sure the leaders are going in as you go higher up in your career, that you don't lose touch with how do you continue to upskill yourself. So I think constant learning should be part of that equation, not only just these human skills, but your technical skills as well.
Hmm. Could you please tell us a bit about your preferred way of learning? Are you taking courses, reading books? What are
It's
those
a
tools?
combination actually. I like reading. I like sometimes just listening to audiobooks. If I'm just going for a walk, I just will do an audiobook. I right now I'm learning to speak French because this is something as a family. My husband, myself, and our two girls decided that we all want to learn French. So all four of us are doing that together. And after dinner, for 30 minutes, we all sit down and go on Duolingo and do our Duolingo together. So French. We're doing French. My younger daughter, or older daughter actually, she's going into fourth grade, and they're learning coding at school. So she's been actually teaching me, and we've created an account for me, and she's teaching me how to code, and it's really interesting how like every single step has to be documented or it doesn't work the way you want it to work, which then like gives you a bit more insight into engineers and product people, how meticulously detail oriented you have to be in order to do the job. And it's just a different perspective it gives me on the population I was supporting as a data and tech leader. And then so we're doing coding, we're doing French, and then doodling. I've always loved just drawing, so I'm learning to doodle because I feel like when you are in a room full of meeting and presenting and you can draw things versus write things down, it just helps people retain information more. So I think in my role, it'll help me more if I can draw things out. But I'm really bad at it right now. Really bad. I'm working on
But
it.
yeah, it's a skill. I'm convinced you'll get it at some point, and it's about a self expression as well. When you
Yeah.
draw, it is your emotions, your vision of the world. You're trying to put it on the list of paper, and this is kind of very good exercise for
Yeah.
uh, showing up and showing who you are inside and what are your emotions are and so on. And if we are talking about the thriving environment and creating the organization where everyone is valued, and everyone feels connected and feels uh, a piece of something bigger than just an individual. And when it comes to the individual level, how the every person and the organization can contribute to creating this kind of environment, creating this kind of organization that is welcoming, that is very people oriented.
Yeah, to me, I think it's creating that, having that supportive mindset that I am doing this to help somebody, to support somebody. I think that's, to me, is like when you have a mission greater than yourself, that's something now worth living for. And that's what I try. I've lived my life with, is like I'm here, like the world is a lot bigger than I am. So why not try to make an impact in the world, and then it will respond back and take care of me. And that's has been I find having that right supportive mindset could really drive an individual and make an impact on their team. I think it's also knowledge sharing. When you had, like in previous, I would say, I don't know, traditional companies are very much, you, whoever has a lot of information holds the power. I mean, nobody wants that anymore. Why don't we just share the information that we have and lift each other up so we can even build on all of that information? Because you have that information, I can add more to something else because I'm bringing different experience and different perspectives and different ways of thinking to the knowledge that you have. So to me, I think knowledge sharing, having a supportive mindset, and then positive communication. Life is, it could be grim and dark to begin with. So how do you stay positive and upbeat through all of that? I think is really important. Obviously, you should have some of those moments where like, oh fuck, but then you just got to pick yourself up and move on. Like I think just knowing to have that balance for yourself, your team, that you support, I think is absolutely critical.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I also like this perspective that whatever it is, just move forward.
Yeah,
This will pass, whatever downsides or whatever
just
the
be
bad
kind as you're
situation you're
doing, just
in.
be kind to people, just show your compassion, and you like just deliver something that's bigger than yourself, right? And when the, it's, to me, I've seen it fail when the individual, the leader, the manager, the employee, they just focus on themselves, me and what's for me and how about me and what about me and me. It just, I think we can create better environments for our people if we say, what about us? How about we together do that? How about this? Like, I think it's just creating that environment for people could really make a huge impact in corporate America.
Absolutely. And shifting from I and me to towards us, we and ours is a just a big thing in itself. It's definitely helps to shift the culture from focus on the individual to the overall success, to the success of the team, success of the company, and then everyone will have this feeling of belonging and valid as well. And since that point, we start not working just on our own successes, but on the success of the company and
That's
all
right.
the people that we work together. And I also like the idea of sharing things as much as you can. And recently, I've read somewhere that there is no such thing as oversharing. You
Yeah,
cannot overshare anything. You just do as much as you can with the people around you, sharing your emotions, your thoughts, or maybe the information that you have. It wouldn't harm anybody for sure. And as we are moving forward, and this is probably my last question, if you're about to contemplate your next career move, what are the key factors you're considering? And what advice can you give to someone who might be in the same situation?
yeah. I mean, the key factor that I am looking for my next role is the type of people I want to work with and learn from. And so to me, it's important that I surround myself with people that have similar values and morals, which is let's make this world a better place. Let's do better and be better. So those values, beliefs are very important to me. So I that and I know that's the environment I thrive in. So that's the company, the leader. I don't really care what industry, but I do enjoy working in tech industry because I think it's just super brilliant people that you get to work with. Um, in this industry. So I'm not, so to me, it's more about the people that I can align my values with. Obviously, like some of the people that I can learn from. I do want to try a different industry because we've been in ed tech, martech for a few years now, where I've been for over 17 years. So trying a different biotech, health tech, fintech probably is exciting to me. So there will be a different sets of challenges, different ways of working. So I want to learn and grow in a different industry. My advice to somebody who's looking for a job or looking to make a shift: don't compromise on who you are and what you stand for, because at the end of the day, that's all you got is what you stand for. And if you're constantly compromising and molding yourself into somebody who you're not, and it's not for better, then I think it's not the right place for you. If a company does not allow you to be yourself, I mean, I will say that with the footnote: if you're an asshole, please do not be an asshole and change that, and do not bring your authentic self to work at all. But if you're not, and you're generally a curious, creative, kind, compassionate person that cares about everybody else, and you want to do leave world a better place, but the environment is not supporting that, fuck that environment, leave that environment. Fine, there is the right environment where you will thrive. So you got to learn to grow where you are able to thrive, and I think that's where you have to be able to sort of find the signs of, wait, I this company or this place or this team is holding me back because I don't feel motivated. And I know all of us can't find, every day is not going to be motivational, let's just be real here. But if in a year you can look back, not even a year, let's look back at 6 months time frame. How many, if you had 60%, 65% of days where I felt fucking excited to do what I do, that is pretty darn good. And I think, I mean, ideally 75% would be better. But the environment, we're not, there's just a lot going on. So if you can give yourself the grace to say, you know what, I want the majority of the days, I want to be excited about what I do. And if you're not feeling that, you're in the wrong role, wrong place, wrong time. So let's find something new. So could keep looking on LinkedIn, looking at so many other job sites that have popped up in last few months, years, um, and job boards. So because the right company, right role, right team is out there for you, that's going to help you thrive.
Yeah, right team is definitely crucial. For me, the ultimate definition of the good team is the feeling that I, I don't go to work. I go to do fun
Yeah,
stuff with my friends. When
yeah,
I'm in this state, I'm the best productive state, and then I can do everything, and I feel empowered and motivated to do whatever it takes to achieve the results and to achieve the goals and everything.
yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Rena. It was very insightful and energetic conversation. I like the level of energy
Thank
that is
no,
coming
thank
from you.
Well, thank you for
And
having me. I had fun talking to you, and hopefully, this is helps some an individual out there. So, thank you.
absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much, Rena. Have a good day.
Take
Bye.
care. Bye bye.